Hey everyone, and welcome to the Infinite Respawn podcast. I'm Chicken.
I'm Grif.
Baka.
What's up, guys? Oak's out of town again. So we won't be hearing from him this week, which I know make him sad because we're all playing PalWorld, and I know he wants to talk about it, but I guess he's stuck talking to his family about it this week. We'll talk to each other about it. Oh no.
I knew I was going to like PalWorld. I did not expect me to fall this far down the PalWorld rabbit hole, which we will come back to right after these news articles.
Yes, we'll talk news first, and then we'll talk PalWorld and the end of
Whatever
our
else.
Warcraft stuff. And
Ugh,
come
my
on,
heart breaks.
did you really think we were going to talk about that? Okay.
I think that's why I'm attached so hard to PalWorld right now. It's like you breaking up with that significant other for 5 years. They were there every week for you, and then it's a mutual breakup where it's just time to move on. And it's like PalWorld. I'm done with this. PalWorld's mine now.
PalWorld's your rebound girlfriend?
Yes, my rebound game.
There you go. Well, let's talk about new stuff so that when we inevitably get carried away talking about WoW and PalWorld, we won't have to worry about what still needs to be covered.
Yeah.
So, where do you want to jump in? Do you have a preference?
The rest of that stuff kind of goes together. I'm just going to jump in with the simple one that kind of is not super gaming related, but I wanted to talk about it because me and Grif have been discussing, because we watched the Sonic movie a lot because
We have a
Nuggy
toddler and he
loves it. And I love it too. Like the first one and the second one are good fun.
Yeah.
I mean, the first one's good, and then the second one is just good too. It's a lot of fun. And the end joke in the first one just kills me every single time, especially with Jim Carrey's delivery on it, the reconnaissance.
And now Nugget says it too. He doesn't know why it's funny though, but he says it. Reconnaissance, ha 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 ha. It's like, you don't even know what that pun is. Whatever.
It's perfect delivery from Jim Carrey too. Just he's like, oh, whatever. It's good fun. But me and Griff were debating because he doesn't ever do sequels, let alone threequels. And it's
trilogy.
Yeah. He is signed on to do the third movie for Sonic. So he is either impressed with the script, or he is just that much into the Robotnik character, which, I mean, I have to give it to him. He is that good at it.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I don't know. If I was him, I'd be like, yeah, let's do it, because that's just a fun role to play. But I also think I don't think that he's a full-on method actor where he commits his whole life to the character while he's playing it. But I do think that sometimes characters overtake him a little bit, and maybe that's why he doesn't usually, do multiples, because he doesn't want to continue to live as so-and-so. But I don't know.
I think part of it is that it kind of lets him fall back into that 90s comedy style where he's that overly evil, diabolical character that's goofy and funny, but also you definitely get that sense of evil from him too. So he gets to kind of live into this what's the word I'm looking for? Over amplified persona, because he's like the funny bad guy, but he's actually a really bad guy. And that's kind of like his shtick, is that he can do these overly characters. It reminds me a lot of him in The Mask, especially as the Mask, when he's being extra goofy and wild. Yeah, like I get that. Yeah.
The Mask, the Cable Guy, and the Riddler.
Yeah. Like, I think his take on Robotnik is fantastic. So I'm excited for him to come back as the third one. So that is nice to have
knowing
confirmed.
That we don't really have a choice in whether or not we'll be seeing that movie, because our child will make us see that movie.
Oh, I'm sure. He'll be much older by the time they finish filming it.
He'll still be of the age that he wants to see it. So I think, at least
trust me, if I'm of the age that I want to see it, he's still gonna.
It comes out at the end of the year, so.
Oh, is it? Well, yeah, but trust me, being 3 right now to 4, 3.5 to 4.5 is going to be a huge time gap. The way kids grow is just mind blowing. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that in passing. And the next couple have a lot to do with Sony and Microsoft.
Okay. Oh wait, is this fight? Fight!
No, it's not a fight.
Kiss.
Yeah, right.
Microsoft Sony? No? Okay.
We'll do the Microsoft part first. They've laid off a ton of people, 1,900 people across Xbox and Activision.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of people. I think some of it is maybe things that they had already planned to skim out of Blizzard to start with when they acquired it, or Activision Blizzard. Microsoft was already planning to cut certain things that they didn't want. I think some of that is the esports stuff for I think Overwatch 2, which just had an update rollout where they I haven't followed it as well because I'm not playing it anymore. I got really miffed about it, so I'm not following it super well. But it's something like all of the heroes can now do passive healing, which is weird.
Really?
But I think that some of the people they let go from, specifically from Blizzard, were the Overwatch 2 esports people. So I guess they're not planning on that being a huge crux for them at this point. Either that or Microsoft's planning on installing their own people. Which maybe that's the case. I don't know. They've just said, we're firing these folks. They haven't said, we're filling in with these folks.
Well, you're the one that brought it up, but during these giant mergers like this, especially when they're this big, a lot of redundant jobs happen. And in order to kind of clean up the companies as they are, they've got they got to trim off that extra, because Microsoft has plenty of these people and Xbox has plenty of these people. Mm. You don't need to keep twice as many on staff. You've got to cut some of these off because you don't need 1,000 developers or 1,000 of these. It's like, we've got this support system. We don't need that support system inside that company anymore. So
and it's not just the Activision Blizzard people. Like, I think ZeniMax had some people that they got rid of too, and things like that. So it was across all of Microsoft's now universe. But I do think a large chunk of them were from Activision Blizzard, so... Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it happens. Which is sad. It's definitely sad to see that many people. But if they didn't know, there's this huge game that just released that could probably use some extra help.
I mean... I do hope that all of them go, find somewhere to go relatively quickly. Because, I mean, that's a lot of talent to just be cut loose and out in the world now.
Oh yeah, a lot of talent.
But you are right. It does happen a lot with mergers. It's just extra people and things like that.
Yeah, you don't need two managers for one little section. It's an unfortunate kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Blizzard's new. They replaced the president of Blizzard too.
Yeah.
Her name is
Fairies. Isn't that her last name? Or is it something
Fairies.
Close to that?
No, it's something Fairies. If I could find it.
She worked for Call of Duty, the Call of Duty side of things, for a while. So, if Blizzard was hoping to get away from Activision, guess what? Oops. Well, although I guess Chicken had mentioned maybe it will work out for them, because with Retail WoW, that's they're doing like the seasons and the battle pass thing, and that's what they're doing in Overwatch now and things like that. So I mean, maybe that's just gonna work out best for how they have the model in their heads now. How retail
has developed into this seasonal based, them announcing the next 3 expansions. I'm gonna be 100% honest. They feel like year-long events. Like, they're gonna do the first expansion here, the next expansion the year after that, and then the last expansion the year after that. And they're kind of building this seasonal style where it's almost like Diablo, where it's a live service game. The MMOs don't exist like they used to, which kudos to Blizzard for having their classic version, which is a kind of seasonal based thing, like they're doing with Season of Discovery.
Season of Discovery, yeah.
Yeah, where it's you got this phase, and then this phase, and then this phase, and they're kind of just playing it by ear and letting it go. And then you've got things like Diablo 4 or Overwatch, where it's, all right, you've got 3 months, you do this, you got your battle pass, next everything changes, do it again, everything changes, do it again, grind out this same treadmill style gear, you're in the next phase, grind out another 15 gear points, your next phase, blah, blah, blah. It's this boring, to me, this boring cycle where they've got, and I think that's where they want to go with retail, because it's, as long as they keep playing for the whole year.
Else. Yeah.
Yeah. So it seems like that's kind of where they want to go with that. And they're letting classic WoW just stay off by itself and cater to this niche community, still making money. Like, they are definitely making more money than they're investing, so they're happy with where it's at. So.
Yeah, I mean, they've got Cataclysm coming up soon, and I say they because it's not us now. But, I know. We'll talk about it later. I'm sorry. It keeps coming back, but but yeah, I mean, you're right. They've got a small community that they're catering to, but the larger, I don't know. I wonder if I can find numbers. You probably can, of their player base, retail versus classic, because I wonder, when we say niche, like, how small are we talking of their entire player base? Is it, coming up to equivalent in size to the retail player numbers? Are retail player numbers way bigger? I mean, I imagine it's dropping off now because a lot of people that were doing classic really wanted to get to Lich King. And that happened, and now those subs might be dropping off again because that was WoW's heyday. I imagine it was again. I just kind of wonder if it's really that niche or if it's something that's equivalent or close at this point.
I think more people, like, I don't know how much this is going to be, but I think the streaming part of it, more people stream classic than they do retail, partially because back when classic was a thing, streaming was not. So people didn't have the option to watch that kind of content back then, but you do now. So it's this weird, it's so old, it's new kind of thing that people couldn't.
It's retro.
You weren't allowed to stream it even if on private servers because, one, it was illegal to play private servers. So this is all new streaming content because people couldn't play it before. So it's fresh now.
Okay.
But I think retail has the bigger population. If I had to guess, just guessing, I think retail has the bigger population, but I don't think it's by the amount people think it does. It was much closer, probably like a 60-40, 65-35 split, where it's like, it's pretty close. Like, the classic population is pretty big these days.
I would agree with that. I'd say it's closer than it used to be. So.
Yeah, and part of the reason why Season of Discovery is so popular is that what it likes to do is respect your time, no grind. You play for a couple of weeks when the phase comes out, and then they literally say, put it down, go find something else to play, come back during the next phase, play it, go away. You're not forced to come back every day to do your dailies, every week to do your weekly. Like, you're not kind of stuck in that loop of doing it. It's old school playing. Go play something else, come back and play this. Simple. So it's nice to see that kind of style again, where you don't feel like you're missing out. FOMO.
Yeah. Well,
but
is there? I was trying to see if there was anything else important that I needed to mention for that, but
no, that one was. That's about it.
I think that one's pretty cut and dry.
I mean, I'm sad for all the people that lost their job. It sucks. I hope they all land on their feet. Best of luck to everybody affected. Is the best way I could put that. In other Microsoft news, also, I'm doing a lot of talking this episode, apparently.
Hey, I'm participating, and Baka is recovering from a cold. He barely has a voice now, so I'll give him a pass this week.
This week. Next week, you got to talk all the time.
Next,
I have a podcast next week.
Say next week.
We don't have anything next week.
It'll be the week after next, but maybe we'll just delay your punishment of having to carry the show until the week after.
But in other Microsoft news, it seems like they're having trouble securing their contracts with AMD for their next console. Sony's already got them done. So the next generation of Xbox might be a little behind Sony's release, which to me it's like a good and a bad thing. One, I don't think Microsoft sees Sony as competition anymore. They just don't care. They're just catering to their audience, kind of like Nintendo's ideology, where it's like, if you want a Switch or if you want a Nintendo console, you're going to buy one. If you want to play Microsoft games, you're just going to get Game Pass. If you really want a console, you'll buy our console.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that Sony is the only one that's still fully committed to the idea and concept of a console war. I think you're right. I think Microsoft has disconnected a bit from that and are now living more close to the Nintendo philosophy. It's just
which is good.
Less stressful.
Oh yes,
probably. And I mean, Microsoft really doesn't have to worry about it as much as they used to, because they are everywhere. Game Pass, like we have our Game Pass. All three of us have Game Pass up right now, but none of us are playing it on console. We have our Game Pass for PC up. Microsoft's still making money off of us. It's like they don't really care where we're at as long as they're getting, you know, our dollar, which they are. So, I think Sony is gonna see this as a huge win, and Microsoft's gonna be like meh, and it'll be like the fans that are fighting it out, the people that are still like the fans themselves that are committed to the console wars. I think the company, as far as Microsoft has disengaged from that.
I mean, at this point as well, with people who stream and stuff like that, most of them do a lot of their games streaming on a PC. Unless it is a Switch or Sony exclusive, they're doing it on a PC.
You're right. I mean, that's absolutely accurate. So that also plays into it, and I think Microsoft is enjoying that because they know that PC Game Pass is boosting them in that respect too. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't know if this is really gonna hurt them all that much. Like it's gonna suck for them to be like, we could have been out in the market at the same time. But I think Chicken's right too. I think you've got people that are gonna, if you want to play their games on console, you're gonna buy it regardless of if it comes out a year after the new PlayStation does.
Yeah, but if you don't want a console, you don't need one. You still got your PC. You still have access.
Yeah, I think the only thing that would hurt them in that respect then is if they also delay what would be launch titles for the new Xbox console. They have to delay those so they can't get them onto Game Pass as expediently as they would like to.
I mean, it'd be one of those things where it'd be like, oh yeah, it's a month thing where, if you buy the game, or when they release it with the console, it just stays with the console for a month and then it comes to PC Game Pass, or it's an exclusive thing. But to me, I don't think Microsoft cares that much. I think that the console for them is kind of a side thought, and getting the games into the hands of people is what they want.
Yeah.
Like, they want to sell you games, if not directly through Game Pass.
I will play devil's advocate and go ahead and put out what I know would be Oak's side of this, because he's not here to do it himself, but I hear it all the time from him when I have this conversation, because I'm super hardcore. Like, I used to be ride or die console, and then I got my PC, and now I'm, PC master race for the rest of my life. But I know, as far as the way that he looks at it, is the counter to that argument is there are a lot of people that don't want the hassle of trying to deal with figuring out PC specs and things like that. A console does all of that for you. It's in the box already. You know roughly what you're getting when you get it. You don't have to do a lot of the legwork of, what graphics card do I want? What monitors do I need? Things like that. It's like plug and play. And it's also price comparable. I won't say that it's a lot cheaper, because I don't think it is at this point. I think PC parts have gotten pretty comparable to what you're paying when you buy a console, but it's price comparable to buying a PC, and some people just aren't going to do that. They're not going to commit to buying the PC that can do the high-end stuff. They're just going to buy the out-of-the-box console. So in that respect, yeah, I can see it hurting them a little bit, but I also think at this point, if you're a Microsoft fan, you're going to wait for the Xbox to come out. If you're a Sony fan, you're going to buy the PlayStation the second it comes out. If you like both, you're probably going to get both, and maybe this works out for you, because now you can stagger those purchases instead of them being on top of each other and you having to agonize over which one you want to get first. Now it will be, well, PlayStation's coming out this year, Microsoft's coming out next year. I'll get them like that.
A counter to that whole buy it out of the box, plug it and play style. That's how PCs are getting now.
Yeah,
we're at that point where you can go to that and be like, I want a low, mid, or high grade computer. You go click, and then they just mail you a box, and you plug it into your monitor, and you're done. You plug it in and hook it up just like you do a console these days. So it's just as easy to do a PC. And I mean, PCs are much more versatile than Xboxes.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. I am PC master race. I love
I'm just saying, like, I feel like Microsoft is almost pushing themselves out of the console market, to where it's like you can buy a PC, have access to all the PC capabilities, like Steam and Game Pass and Epic, which has PlayStation games, and Ubisoft and Origin and everything else and anything that you want to play. You're not limited to console, but PlayStation has some seriously high quality exclusives. You're like, okay, if I'm going to buy a console and I've already got a PC, I'm only going to buy a PlayStation because I've got a PC that already lets me have all the Xbox stuff. Or I want Nintendo, I have to buy Nintendo stuff. So Nintendo and Sony have kind of cornered the console market, and Nintendo or Microsoft's like, fuck it.
If you want to play it on PC, that's fine. We're going to put it on PC. Whatever.
Exactly. And if you guys are hardcore console fans, you're still going to have access to it. And you can have it, but I mean, it is whatever. I mean, we still got plenty of people buying Game Pass.
Yeah.
So I think it's almost a little ironic that they're pushing themselves out of their own market. Kind of like they're not super hard for it these days because they've cut out enough of a PC market to kind of make up for it.
I would love to see a dollar breakdown of like how much they make on like console for specifically console Game Pass, because I know they also have a tier that is like gold where it gives you the PC and the console Game Passes. I would like to see numbers break down which one they make more off of, or just in general like how much, because I mean that amount's got to be massive at this point. Everything that comes out for Xbox comes out almost all of it comes out day one on Game Pass, and I think almost all of it comes out day one Game Pass for PC too. So like if there's a big launch, it's gonna have, you know, both options. I just would like to know. I would guess, not knowing, like not seeing numbers, I would guess PC Game Pass, because of what Baka said earlier, you're more likely streaming so big these days, or content creation in general, you're more likely to be playing it on PC. I would guess that that's going to be the bigger part of the market share.
Yeah,
I would love to know. I'm going to have to like try to write myself a mental note, because if I write it down, I'll just lose it right now. But to try to remember to see if I can find those numbers later. For anybody that had any illusions that we do any sort of research beforehand, surprise.
No, we don't. I get articles together beforehand, and that's about it.
Well, I mean, occasionally we do research. Some stuff we just passively know, and then you're like, you say this fact, and you're like, how did I know that? I've absorbed it somewhere, but I have no idea where. Yeah, I'd be interested to see. I also like businessy stuff too, so I'd like to know numbers-wise what that's looking like, and if that played into them not feeling as pressured to get, you know, be like, oh, we've got to give AMD whatever they want because we need that contract so that we can be right out when PlayStation does. I wonder if they're like, we'll get to it, because they know PC Game Pass is floating them, well, Game Pass in general is floating them enough that they really aren't that worried. They're not pressed about it.
Yeah. That's definitely how it feels.
Okay, what else?
Well, I mean, to the opposite side of that for Sony, and because we were talking about how good their exclusives are, and like that is how they have positioned themselves in the console market, is that they kind of dabble. It's almost like the overflow goes to PC, but the most of their water runs into the console itself. Like that is where their main support is. Where for Microsoft, it's kind of like they just splash it everywhere. They're making money regardless of where it goes. But Sony specifically focuses on their console and the things that they get. Speaking of that, they just showed off at State of the Play several titles. I don't know if they're all Sony exclusives, but there are a couple.
I watched the Death Stranding trailer, but I didn't happen to pay attention to the end to see if it said Steam. I know with the first Death Stranding, they didn't do, you mentioned earlier that Epic parity. A lot of times, a lot of PlayStation exclusives go to Epic and have a...
PlayStation 5.
Okay, wow. Damn it. Which is fine. I'm sure...
That's fine. It'll go to
sure it
PC
will come
eventually.
To PC. And I'm not pressed about it. Maybe by the time Death Stranding 2 comes to PC, somebody can tell me exactly what's going on, because if you watch the trailer, even having played the first game, you're like, wait, I don't think I understand. But I am ready for the hour finale cutscene again, so, you know, I'm in. I'm all in. I'm just may not be all in at release, but they did show another trailer for that. They also showed Fragile has a scarf that's like gloves, but they move. Like,
yeah, it's weird, but whatever.
There's like a level of weird, and then you get past weird, and you're in like the Kojima territory, and that's where we're at, obviously. But I thought it was neat. I mean, I don't know how I feel about Higgs being around the Troy Baker character with his Guitar Hero attacks, that I assume you will be playing him, like, as him for that part, because it looked like a cutscene in which you will be doing things, or, well, a fight scene in which you will be controlling that character. I think that's weird. Considering, if you haven't played the first game, I'm not gonna ruin things for you, but considering who he is and what happened, like, odd choice. But guess I'll have to wait, because literally nothing about that game is not an odd choice. Like the first one, and definitely into the second one, not a single thing is like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. Everything about it's like, I'm sorry, what? Okay, but I love it all the same. They also showed off a bunch of stuff. I'm just scrolling through because some of the stuff I know that they showed off Dave the Diver. I guess it's coming to PlayStation in April. What?
With Godzilla.
Yes, with Godzilla. Again, I guess we're still in the weird territory because nothing about that makes sense to me, but sure. I'm sure it does somehow.
I mean, PUBG had friggin' King Kong and Godzilla at one point.
That doesn't...
Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. Yep. There were, I know Ollie and Red were watching it as it happened, and we were not able to watch it as it was unfolding, but I know that they were talking about the Silent Hill stuff. The free-to-play one, Silent Hill Short Message, I have heard some really all over the place things about it. And
I've heard it's Sony's PT, whatever that thing was way back in the day. They're trying again with
but not as good.
I didn't say it was as good. I said it was their attempt at something like the PT.
Silent Hill is traditionally a third person. This is first person. The trailer itself, I found slightly off-putting. I didn't like the constant narration from our main character. The use of the cell phone reminds me of, like, way back in the day when we first started doing streaming stuff. I went over to Oak's house to play this game, and you had a cell phone that would, like, you hold in front of you for your flashlight, but it also let you see the ghost, I think, or something like that. I cannot remember what the name... I wish she was here to tell me that. I can't remember what it was called, but it gave me strong flashbacks to that game, and I was like, wow, that game was over 10 years ago, and this is where we're at. Okay. But I
almost want to say Fatal Frame, but
No, it wasn't Fatal Frame. Fatal Frame's the one with you take the pictures.
Yeah.
It was not that. It was an indie game, and I ended up getting stuck. I think I got stuck on a door frame or something like that, and I had to stop playing because it broke it. I really wish I could remember the name of that game. But if you've played the Short Message, I don't have PS5, so obviously I haven't. But if you've played it, I just want to know what you think. I like reading everybody's takes on it, but I also enjoy hearing people that I know what their thoughts are on it, because I think I can get a better read on whether or not I'd like it. But they also showed off Silent Hill 2. They showed off like a combat trailer almost, and some people were upset about it. I don't disagree. I did see somewhere on Reddit that there was somebody from the company that was like, yes, that's an older build of the game to show off that stuff.
If you're thinking of the same one that I'm talking about, then it was the stockholder, somebody, like the company, the higher ups in the company said that they got to see the actual trailer for the game, and they were very well impressed with how good it looked, and that it's not necessarily the one that they showed off, because apparently that one that they showed off was from like 6 or 7 months ago that they gave Konami and was like, here, you could show off this trailer, and they held on to it, then decided to show that old ass trailer now
good job,
instead of
Konami.
showing it way back then. So again, rumors, little talk here and there. I think this is old.
I didn't have a problem with it. Like, I mean, I get what people, some of the smaller, finer points where it's like, look at the blood splatter, it's pixelated. The sounds of the weapons don't sound quite right or quite powerful enough to really make the impact. And I definitely a lot like agree.
Placeholder stuff.
Yeah, I definitely agree with some of that. But I was looking at the monsters and the way they moved and things like that, and honestly, like, now that I think about it, it definitely also looked like an older version, like a not quite what they've been showing in more recent stuff, pictures of James Sunderland, the main character. So it probably is that they held on to it. But the monsters and stuff, I mean, I'm ready. I am ready. Sign me up. Give me right now. Gimme. I can't wait.
I think for the most part, Bloober Team, but when they gave that trailer to Konami, if that is an old trailer, because Bloober Team making the previous games are unparalleled to their environmental designs. Like, and
they're really good at environment.
Like it's crazy good.
Yeah.
And gameplay wise, they haven't had to do anything in like Layers of Fear, Laser Fear 2, or things like that. It was just kind of a lot of environmental stuff, which Silent Hill has a lot of environmental stuff. And from the trailer, it looks good. The monsters look good, things like that. Then they delayed the game, which I think was the right call, because they're like, okay, game environment, all of that stuff, story is done. Combat and gameplay is a little janky. We need more time to work on that because that's not our specialty. So we need to make sure that this is at least up to par when we release the game. So we need more time to work on this part of the game, which is what I think they've been working on so hard these last several months.
I would not disagree with that. If that's the older version and that's where they asked for the, maybe that's what it was. Maybe they're like, here's what we've got. We really think that this, and this could be, we need an extension so we can fix this. And Konami's like, yeah, sure, go ahead, take your time. And then 6 months later, they're like, we need a trailer for this event. You want this? It's a little old, but it's still good. Here you go. Like, maybe that's what happened.
Like, and that's the thing, is if Bloober Team took these months and actually polished up that weak part of the game, you're going to have a solid game here.
Yeah.
Period. Like, you were going to have a solid game. Environment's good. Monsters look good. The animations are a little stiff. The sound effects
if the
are a little
animations are a
iffy.
little stiff, if I hear a single word from the Silent Hill 2 community that are diehard fans that are like, it's too stiff, I'm going to just throw a bag of dicks at somebody. Because holy shit, the amount of people that will die on the hill of being like, well, the performance in that game's original content was stiff because that's how it's supposed to be, because the character is stiff, because this, and this, and will expound for days on why, like, justifying missteps in performances, like vocal performances, and also why some of the actual animation is so stiff as a choice rather than limitations.
Don't do that.
If it is stiff and y'all want to die on that hill of it's bad because it's stiff, I'm just hypocrites, all of you.
I will say, if it's stiff because they just didn't do well, then that's on them. But that is why they need to take time to fix those and make them a little bit smoother.
Now, if it is an actual choice, like you are making James Sunderland slightly robotic in some of his motions because he is detached, and I mean, this whole thing is about his mental health and mental trauma. Sure, if that's actually the choice that was intentional, it depends on how bad. But
okay, my perfect example of something versus limitation versus design is, okay, if you have your weapon ready and the monster's coming towards you, and you kind of like jostle back in like, okay, you want to convey your character is scared or in the wrong mindset, but you don't know how to do that right. If you just do like the little stiff jostle back, it's like, that's not how you portray that. You want them to like sluggishly drag their feet back as they're stepping backwards. So you got to make sure that when you're doing the gameplay style, that you can tell the character's mindset through their body movements.
Well, I mean, I think that's some of the problem with some of the community that's so tied to the old game, is they're making those connections and presenting them as fact and not considering any sort of limitations. It's this is a masterpiece in every single respect. There's literally nothing wrong with it. And it's like, nah, there's definitely some issues.
Are stiff. Like, I'm just going to use Resident Evil 4, the old one and the new one. Like, a lot of the movements and whatnot were limitations. Like, you were, stand and shoot and things like that. Mm-hmm. Where the new ones, the idle animations and the body postures and the movements of Leon, almost every part of it means something. Like, he checks his gun, or he's standing there, or he'll hold his gun up, or like all of his little movements kind of give you a sense of his mindset while he's there, whether he's moving or shooting or anything like that. And you could do that in a game like Silent Hill 2, where you got to make him a little more jittery, a little more scared, because he's in this monster with worlds. He's not a soldier. He's just a human fighting these things. So you can make him a little bit more stiff, a little bit more unsure through his movements. Yeah. And I think that's kind of what they want to build in that, where they make him a little more like human and not superhero or just janky.
Yeah. Oh, and I mean,
which I think you can fine line it too, because Silent Hill is a little jank. I've played a couple of them.
Yeah. They're definitely
is just part of it.
Some things where, like, watching that trailer specifically, where I was like, "Oh, I know what that is. Oh, I know what that is. Look at how that looks," because I know what it is, but it is still like, they showed. If you haven't played the original Silent Hill, since there's a remake coming out, I won't entirely spoil it for you. However, I did play it on the Infinite Respawn channel. So if you're watching the YouTube version of this, it is here. It was years ago. Please forgive me. But some of it is just like, you what now? Because you got to put this crate of drinks into a specific chute for a reason, but it's one of those things where it's like, logically that's probably not what you as a person would come up with, but it's how the game worked. But it's also because that was the best way to do it back in the day. Like, I guess with animations and what you could have.
Yeah, they've got to redesign some of the puzzles, but you also have to keep in some of those funny things. Like,
if there's not a 10 of light bulbs that doesn't make any fucking sense, if it's not in the game, I'm going to be mad, even though I think that it's the dumbest thing that ever existed in the game in the first place. Nobody keeps a 10 of light bulbs.
If Bloober Team is smart about how they design this, they will put them in an obvious place. Like, it'll be on a counter somewhere, and it'll be like a little pyramid stack that says can of light bulbs, but it won't be used for anything. They'll get rid of that part of the puzzle. It will be removed, but the meme and the Easter egg will be there to kind of make fun of it, and the puzzle will be redesigned to be better.
I don't know how much they're redesigning versus just like remaking and bringing straight across.
You have to redesign, you have to upgrade, and I stand by that. From the Resident Evil to Resident Evil 4 remake, is that the redesign choices were good. Like, they tried to parallel a lot of the puzzles and things like that, but they upgraded them.
Well, yeah, you don't want the puzzles to feel too easy for people that have already played it too. Like, if you've played the original version, you don't want to just like stomp straight through it because you know all the answers already. So having some of it tweaked a little.
Yeah, you want them to make sense in the world. Like a can of light bulbs, like what was the point of that?
You just had, okay, to be fair, in the game, it just told you to find a light bulb. It just so happened that they were in a tin, that you had to use a kitchen implement to open, because that's where they were at, was in the kitchen. So,
I mean, then all you do is you put it behind a cupboard and you lock it and have to find a key somewhere else. That makes more sense than in a can.
It's Silent
in a
Hill.
cupboard is better than in a can, but again, you want a little bit more realistic view that's not so funny, because light bulbs in a can just draw you out of the suspense. You're laughing instead of being a little bit more trepidatious. It did make
me laugh, although it was a little frustrating too, because I was looking everywhere for a freaking light bulb or a box that looked like it had light bulbs in it. I did not know I was supposed to be looking for a can.
Again, yes, like you got to make it somewhat real. If you're looking for light bulbs, you're looking for a counter or a cupboard or something like that, or a broom closet, not a can.
I will say though, I think, as you mentioned earlier, I think Bloober Team has always been really good at ambience, and I'm kind of glad that trailer didn't show us a lot of the different areas. It was focused on like here are what the enemies updated look like, which they look fantastic. Especially the little dudes outside that crawl around on the ground when you knock them down. I don't know what their animation's going to look like on the ground in the original because of limitations at the time. It's kind of funny after you're done being scared of it. but they looked great. The legs lady looks great. I don't know what they're actually. I never know what any of the bad guys in games like that are called. I just call them what I want to. So legs looks great. And then they gave us a teeny little sprinkle of a Pyramid Head teaser at the very end, but they did not show him. They did not.
Yes, which they don't do it. And I'm gonna be 100%. I'm feeling it right now, and I'm going to call out the Silent Hill community. I think this game is going to take a rough release because of the Silent Hill community just being so goddamn picky. Yep. I think regular gamers are going to be like, "Hey, this is a good game. I enjoyed this. This is fun." And then the Silent Hill community is going to be like, "This is garbage. I'm nitpicking. I hate you. Everything sucks." And we're going to give it negative reviews.
Like that about it, but I agree with you. Like if you go to the Silent Hill subreddit. And Silent Hill 2 is the biggest game in the franchise. Like, it is by far the biggest and most important, most played, most looked at piece of the entire Silent Hill franchise. For good reason. It is pretty freaking amazing. But people, you're right, some of the fandom are going to have those rose-tinted glasses on and literally nothing will be good enough. Like, you could give them a 1-to-1 with upgraded graphics and they'd still be like, this is garbage.
Yeah, they'd still complain about something. Yeah. Like I feel like, and usually great games like that live or die by their community, and like
this
that
is really
community is going to go and kill them for it.
Actually, I think what's gonna save this one is if they release it around the right time. So you release it in the fall. So you're getting ready for spooky month, and that's when all of the streamers and content creators are doing all their spooky stuff, and everybody's gonna want to be the first one to put it on their channel. That is what you do, and that is what saves it, because that will get it out to a lot of people that have not heard the Silent Hill 2 community yet, or maybe are not part of that, but like horror games, or have avoided horror games like Silent Hill because of that community, because that community can be a bit atrocious.
Yeah, I think dropping it into bigger waters is going to be what actually saves that game.
But you have to launch it at the right time. You have to get it out, in the later part of the year. It should not be like, okay, this game, we delayed it, it'll be next year, it's coming out in May of next year. That's a little early, a little far away from spooky month, which I get the thought process behind something like that is, well, there's not a lot of other spooky games coming out at that time, so it feels that need, but there's a reason that a lot of the spooky games release around spooky month. Because people who would normally be buying
a September. I'd do a September release, like right at the end of September, right there. Kind of like get everybody out there, and it's a good game. People are enjoying it. Silent Hill community is just ragging on it because they're angry. Mm-hmm. But then the streamers kind of pick it up. Oh, I'm gonna play this for Spooky Month. Then that feeds into the more of the audience, and then it kind of hits that more common gamer attitude. And everyone's like, "Yeah, this is a good game. I enjoy it. It's fun. I recommend it." Blah 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 blah. Then it can actually survive. Because if you just put it into the hands of the Silent Hill community, I'm sorry, I don't trust you guys. I think you're gonna be the problem.
Don't lump me in with them. I'm pumped for this. I'm ready.
I'm not. Like you should just be happy as long as it's a solid game. Be happy that you got a solid Silent Hill game. If it's good, don't get so goddamn nitpicky.
My trepidation comes in everything that they've been releasing lately. Short Message, I think not great. I don't care for the way that it looks. That's why I want to talk to somebody that's actually played it. The god-awful TV show interactive bullshit that they launched that was, Ascension?
Yeah.
That was absolute garbage. And it makes me worried that they're just, like, throwing trash out with the Silent Hill name on it to make money off of it. Because Konami loves making money and doesn't really care about much else. At this point, they used to be a good company. They really aren't. So I'm hoping that with Bloober being the ones in charge of it, that it's still going to be good and not trash tier like this other stuff that they keep putting out. But we'll see.
I think them getting allowed to delay this game is a good sign.
Yeah. Well, I think a good sign would have also been canceling Ascension after like the second episode because it was
they don't give a fuck about that.
It's terrible. I know we're talking a lot about Silent Hill. It's a huge game for me. I'm super excited. I heard the staticky radio and they're using as like if it is not the same sound effect from the original, it is something very, very similar, but the second I heard it is, 1, immediate chills because something bad is coming for me, and 2, oh, this feels kind of like home. So, I'm sorry for going on and on about Silent Hill. There were other stuffs. And I realized as I was looking at this article check-in, I forgot to watch the trailer for Judas. I opened it up, but we were playing PalWorld, and I forgot it was in the side thing and did not actually watch it, and I forgot all about it until right this second.
How long is the trailer?
I don't know, but
a minute and 51. You can watch that, and I'm going to talk about Rise of the Ronin.
I can't, because I can't listen to it, because the audio track records everything from my PC.
Just mute it then. Just watch.
I'm not gonna do that.
Okay. I'm watching it right now.
Lucky you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't have to listen to it.
But it is the next game from Ken Levine, which is BioShock. So, yeah, well, but he's also a crazy person. So who knows?
Yeah, well, apparently all of these crazy game developers are crazy. And we've watched the trailer for Judas before too. They showed it in a different trailer last year or something.
Yeah, they did. This is a new trailer.
Yeah. But they showed Rise of the Ronin, which, you know, samurai style games are my shiz.
Mm-hmm.
It looks a little bit like Assassin's Creed style mixed with Ghost of Tsushima and a sprinkle of Sekiro.
That's like interesting ingredients there.
Yeah, because there's a lot of vertical movement. They've got the little paraglider thing, and you can grappling hook jump from buildings and paraglide, so it's got a lot of vertical movement instead of it just being horizontal, because Ghost of Tsushima was very horizontal with some rooftop capabilities and whatnot, but not really like jumping and gliding around and things like that. Same thing with Sekiro, some verticality, but nothing like flying around and things like that, fast travel. But the combat looks good. That is what you want in a samurai style game. It looks like I could compare it a little to Ghost of Tsushima in combat wise. It looks pretty good. It looks like it's going to have heavy RPG elements too.
Okay.
I'm always against guns in a samurai style game. There's muskets and things like that. Not my forte and things like that. I always prefer sword play over gunplay, just because I find it more entertaining, more skill based. Which is why I like For Honor, but I never stuck with For Honor for very long. But it's a PS5 exclusive, which means I probably won't get to play it for a little while, if ever. Because I don't have a PS5. If it comes to PC, which I don't even think Ghost of Tsushima is on PC yet.
Is it not? I thought it was. Oh, you might be right. I don't know. I mean, eventually we'll probably pick up a PS5, but it'll probably be once they price drop them. Just because it's, again, like we talked about earlier, we're both PC players. We don't really need the console. So buying it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, we'll do that when it's on sale or something.
Maybe we'll see.
I mean, there are games that I want to play on that, and if they're not going to release Silent Hill in a relatively timely fashion to PC, I will consider.
What, Silent Hill 2?
Yeah,
it's already on Steam.
It's on the Steam wishlist, yeah, but I mean that doesn't mean that it's not going to get a year exclusivity.
Oh no, it's not getting a year exclusivity. They wouldn't even put it on the Steam thing without it being able to be released.
I don't think that's true. I think they put the Saints Row reboot on there when it got announced too, and you could.
And then they took it off because it became an Epic exclusive.
Well, anyway.
Yeah, PlayStation.
But I mean, if there's enough for it that we're like, yeah, let's go ahead and do that, we'll discuss it. But it's definitely not. Yeah. I mean, when you're paying for daycare and stuff like that, that's not a. Let's put some money aside from that. It's like no. Got to pay for all these important things.
Silent Hill 2 Remake is for PS5 and Microsoft Windows.
I think that hurts Sony's feelings.
Well, they were probably not able to get the exclusivity, so. And they know that the bigger Silent Hill market, the specific market, is on PC.
Rise of the Ronin, I guess you'll get to hear release or updates about it pretty soon since it's coming out in March 22nd. Yeah. So you'll get to find out whether or not it's really good. It's releasing the same day as Dragon's Dogma 2.
Oh, that's a big risk.
And Dragon's Dogma 2, I'm interested in, but I don't care for how the director of the game has talked about some of the features. Like, oh, you don't need fast travel because that's boring. And it's like, I'm sorry. You know what's boring is taking me and my three pawns across the map that I've already been across 5 freaking times because I keep picking up quests that need me to go to the same area and you won't let me pick up the quests at the same time. Efficiency is not in your vocabulary, apparently. Like,
no, which I respect him having such strong opinions on things like that.
Oh, that's fine,
Especially...
but don't say that it makes it boring when it's boring because I've already killed that stupid wyvern 5 times. It's here every time I come past.
Well, all I'm going to say is that fast travel killed Conan for us. Like, when you lost the exploratory style of the game, it basically killed it for all of us. When you could just fast travel everywhere...
I don't think it... Well, okay, our fast travel was not go and unlock the fast travel point and then you can go back and forth, which is what we're doing in PalWorld, and that's fine. That's what something like Dragon's Dogma could benefit from.
We could have done...
console commanded it so that we could just plop ourselves wherever we literally wanted to and leave whenever we wanted to with nothing to stop us.
We could have done the same route that we did in Valheim with the teleporters.
Take the teleporters everywhere?
Because, yeah, you can build teleporters all over the map and use them instead. But none of us wanted to do magic. And I got pretty far down the magic route, but nobody else did.
I couldn't figure out how to make it work. Like, it's like, do you want to build a bridge or do you want to do an ice thing? Okay, well, neither of these are useful right now, so I don't want to do either. Thank you.
It's because you had to go to the little thaumaturgy bench and research a page, and when you increased your tome, you got a new couple of spells, and you had to keep researching your book, which needed new ingredients, and eventually when you hit the cap level, you could go to one of the sorcerer's den and learn how to make teleporting station, and then you could put those teleporting stations anywhere.
I did not know that. I'm sorry.
I think my main problem with Conan is that it didn't have any verticality that you were able to get early on. With PalWorld, I have flying mounts. They're kind of crappy early. I just use them for like elevation. If I'm at a cliffside, I just fly it up and then go over. And there's also fast travels too, that you're in specific zones for it.
Again, I think, but that kind of fast travel, bringing it back to what we were actually talking about for Dragon's Dogma, would be great, because if the world is as repetitive as it was before, then having recently played Dragon's Dogma, I liked the storyline, the combat felt really good, I liked the pawn system, like everything about it was fine, except for, oh my god, having to run back and forth the same strip of land over and over again, because you don't, like, you can have the port crystals and it'll take you back to where you've left one and things like that, and that's fine, but they were kind of in limited supply, especially early on. Once you made more money than God, you could buy them, but I just didn't like the idea of having to go back and forth and it's the same thing every time. It's like, okay, well, here's the fork in the road where the ogre's at. All right, we killed it. My pawns all said the same 5 things that they always say. Cool, let's go. All right, here's where the wolves are going to jump out. Let's kill them. All right, now that we've gotten past that, here's where the Saurians are. Okay, kill them. Yeah, that's right. Break the tail off. Let's go. Like, it was literally the same thing over and over and over again because you were traversing the same land and there wasn't enough variety. Now, if in the new one that is updated and things happen differently, like one of the things that Chicken really likes is the environment changes and there's that, like, you know, I walked past here before and there was an ogre, but now there's no ogres, but I hear something in the background. What is that thing? You know, where it's more dynamic. Maybe that's
exactly what I was going to say, is that you have to do dynamic style content and you have to do modifiers for your dynamic content. There's no ogre here. Okay, cool. There are wolves. There are armored wolves this time. Okay, well, I've got to figure out how to deal with these this time. Or, oh, there's no wolves this time. There's an armored ogre, and he's attacking a caravan. Okay, well, do I want to help them or not? Like, you got to make sure that if you don't want to do fast travel, bro, Mr. President of the company, if you don't want to do fast travel, you have to make the travel enticing. You have to make it dynamic and interesting. You've got to make it so that it's not boring walking back and forth.
Yes. Because that was such a slog.
You have to make sure that they are engaged while traveling if you want them to be.
Yeah.
And you have to offer an ability to where I liked Skyrim style where like you could get in the cart and then just travel to somewhere else. Like it's the different type of fast travel where, you know, people who don't want to actually travel, let them get in a cart.
It's like Red Dead stagecoaches and train rides.
Yeah, let them auto travel that style and then roll in dynamic events like that to where it's like, okay, you can put your controller down and go on about your business while your person travels. It's not fast travel, but it's soft travel, and then you can engage them in that way. Oh, your little thing gets attacked by people, okay, or there's an ogre on the road, or there's a tree limb broken down, like different things to mix up the environment to make it more engaging if you want to do that.
Yeah. I think there has to be something like that. Some, variety to it instead of it being it's the same thing every time.
Mm-hmm. That's my 2 cents.
Yep. I think some of the others, Until Dawn's getting a remaster for PS5, which some people are like, but why? And it's like, what do you mean, but why? This is the one that this is the company that remasters everything from old gen to the next gen, no matter what. It just surprised it took this long. It could have been like The Last of Us, where they're like, hey, The Last of Us just came out on PS3. Here it is on PS4. Oh, there's also a remaster for PS4 because we triple dipped. Yay, buy it all. Yeah, so yeah. I don't know why you're surprised, but that's coming. And there are a couple other things that I'm not as interested in, so I didn't pay close enough attention to it, and I don't want to try to talk about it as though I'm educated on it, because I'm not. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, you guys.
There's some VR games and stuff, and but most of it was very meh to me.
Yeah.
It seems like they're starting off kind of laid back, so which is that's good. That's a good place to start. You're not disappointing anybody yet or anything like that. Start off slow, and then amp up your year as you go on. Right.
I still can't get over the Death Stranding 2 that name on the beach.
On the beach. That makes sense though. Knowing Death Stranding lore and things like that, it makes sense. I'm interested to see. I mean, especially considering some of the characters that we saw. I'm like, but excuse me. Yeah, I think it's a laid back approach to the start of the year because we're in January or February, and you don't want to. I can't think of a way to say that without it sounding sexual, so I'm just not gonna. You just don't want to start off too strong. And have nowhere to go. Anyway, what else do we need to talk about? Because I realize now that we're an hour in and we still haven't got to talk about PalWorld and Warcraft.
I know, right? So, well, I mean, we're two weeks at shows, so it doesn't matter if they're a little longer. Yeah. The last one is we brought up Resident Evil a couple of times. There are apparently 5 due to leaks, so it's rumors. So there are rumored to be 5 Resident Evil games in production, including Resident Evil 9. So, and I did want to say, because you're one of your trepidatious things with the Silent Hill thing that they showed off, the little play, it was first person.
Mm-hmm.
The Resident Evil community hears you and says, wait.
No, I don't disagree. Resident Evil 7 did something different, and it was phenomenal. They really won on that one, and I don't have a problem with that at all. I don't have a problem with the fact that it's first person versus third person. My main problem was it's first person with a cell phone in your hand almost the entire bit of footage that we were shown, and the person narrating the whole time. Just because you're first person doesn't mean that the person needs to train of thought me the whole time.
I'd say you'd have to play it to kind of get an actual feel. Do they talk the whole entire time, or is it
one of the complaints that I've heard about it is that there's too much commentary from the main character.
Okay.
So again, would like to talk to somebody that's actually played it, not somebody on the internet.
But yeah, so 5 Resident Evil games. I assume Resident Evil 5 is one of them.
I would say 5 and 6 are probably in there. If they're doing 5, then they've probably got 6 in the chamber.
No, they're definitely not working on 6 yet. They want to see how 5 does.
I would be working on 5 or 6 to change everything about it.
Let's see. I want Resident Evil. Okay, so Resident Evil 9, Resident Evil 5. I am praying for everything in the world that Outbreak is a real thing. Maybe Code Veronica, which is an offshoot one.
That's a lot of the guesses in
Resident Evil 0.
Yeah, I was about to say either they're gonna completely remake 1 or 0. Those are my guesses. Those are my guesses right there. I honestly think a Resident Evil Outbreak game in this day and age would be clutch. Huge. 4-player co-op style game where you have to solve your way out of the police station while being chased, all 4 of you being chased by Mr. X or whatever. I think that has huge potential. Huge potential.
Yeah, I mean, one of the comments is I think it's Resident Evil 1, 5, Code Veronica, and 9, and then of course they're going to make a multiplayer thing that won't work out, so.
Yeah, that's typical for them these days.
But what was the ones that they did on PlayStation? Maybe Xbox? But it was didn't you just hit the Outbreaks?
Yeah, Resident Evil Outbreak.
Yeah, okay.
That one was
Outbreak Files 1 and 2.
PS2, and it was before, like, that game right there is one of those long lost treasures because the infrastructure wasn't there quite yet for those games back in the day, because it had to have internet connection for your PS2. Not really a common thing back in the day. So it really didn't take off off the ground. But I think now is the time to strike for something like that.
I mean, that would be pretty interesting to go through. I remember trying to play it without internet access, and I was like, wow, I have no idea. Like, it was built for that in mind, but if you didn't have internet, then
you couldn't play it. Yep.
Yeah.
Limited the amount of people that could play it. So again, I think that has huge potential in this day and age.
Well, what else do we need to talk about? Or is
that's it for the news from my perspective.
Oh, okay. I was checking to make sure that we didn't miss anything else. But I think that's all of it. Well, did you want to talk about Warcraft at PalWorld?
Well, we'll start with Warcraft. We've talked about it for years and years now. We have played WoW since August of 2019, before we even had Nuggy.
Classic, yeah, we played
for Classic.
That's not the start of our WoW careers. That was just
that's when we started Classic again, or started WoW again. And my personal goal when we very first started was to kill Lich King.
Yep.
Like, I wanted to kill him, and I was pretty confident that they were going to announce BC and Wrath, and we got it. What I did not expect is that my trajectory would go from being a random player in the group to raid leading for years after that, and somehow we found ourselves in that position. We were Unicorn Raid. Mimi, fun.
I don't know that we ever talked to the raid about, and I know there's a couple of them that watch this now or listen, but I don't know if we ever actually explained how we became Unicorn, like why we were that one.
Yeah, we did a couple of times. Early on, we talked about how we did it.
It became its own thing. Like,
its own entity.
When we were putting it together from the other, we were in Imperium, some of us were, and then Tab was another guild that we wanted to merge, and, that ended up being a whole thing. So we did, and it became Cerberus, and we were Unicorn because it was a placeholder name. But then it's like, if I'm going to be in any sort of group with people like this, I want it to have a name that's kind of memey and dumb, because if you are too cool for the name of this raid team, then you are not cut out for this raid team. If you can't hang with the idiots, then get over yourself and find some edgelord group somewhere. Have a nice life. And people really latched onto it a lot more than I had expected.
Yes, it took on its own identity. Like, now, at this point, since we're done, anytime any of us see anything unicorn related, we're automatically going to think about our raid group, our friends, our family that we made.
Family, because I really feel like, especially since so many of us came in together at the same time and have been there, for years together, it really does feel like a little family. And I've never, in my gaming experience outside of you guys, like my little friend group, I've never had an experience like this where I have met people and then hung out years with them and got to know them, like, through our on and off weekly interactions and things like that. Like, this is a weird thing that a lot of people who played original Classic had already kind of experienced a guild and seeing those people regularly and things like that, but it has been very new for me personally. And really amazing. I mean, we met some really cool people. Also some duds, but we don't care about them. But overall, like, our team was amazing. And I gotta say, Unicorn was always the meme raid. It was one of those where it's like people kind of laughed at it. Even, you know, within the guild itself, sometimes there were some side eyes like, oh, it's you guys. We held strong the whole time. We started Unicorn. We ended Unicorn. Our final Lich King kill, there were like 3 people alive. And all of us just screaming into the headset, just keep going! And that's what our final Lich King kill was he's on farm. That's the 3rd kill. 3 people were alive by the end because stuff happened.
I think it was 2 people. Somebody got one shot there at the end, and then
I think Amal was still up, and was Red still up?
Yeah, I think Red was still up, and Trist reincarnated.
That doesn't count, Trist.
It was like, I'm gonna be blasted, and then exploded. It's like, okay.
But yeah, like, that chaos was the Unicorn way, and I will never, ever, ever forget it. And it was amazing. Everybody in Unicorn really made that whole WoW experience for me. So I'm gonna miss it. I'm really sad. Like, Chicken and I have been talking about it, because Chicken and I were the raid leads, so it's like, you're right, that's not a trajectory I thought we were going to take. Definitely not for me. I rolled that Priest in Classic, and I was like, I don't even know how to play Priest. I'm just going to, because you need a healer, and this is the best healing class, so I guess that's what I'll do.
Well, me and Grif decided to go tank and healer because we're always together and we're always around. We can pick up DPS, which has always been our motto. We could pick up DPS, but as long as me and her are together, we've got the main 2 pieces, the foundation go, and then we can just make anything else
even when we were
work.
playing retail, like, I was a tank for our PvE stuff. I was a paladin tank. And for our PvP stuff, which is mostly what we did, I was a druid healer. I'd never done priest. Like, I had a shadow priest that I leveled at some point, a little bit just to kind of play around with, but not healing. And that was, for that to be like, okay, well, I'm just gonna be an idealistic little healer person for my husband because it's gonna be fun for us to play together. And then it's like, okay, well, we've joined a guild. Now I'm a healing person for a lot of people. I don't actually know what to do with these buttons. And then somebody goes, hey, I'm going to be out next week. Can you be the heal lead? Excuse me? Yeah, I guess so. Okay, fine. And now you're in charge of everything. It's like, oh, no. I don't even, good God, the imposter syndrome. So much.
Do you remember which raid it was that you started taking over in it?
It was, Blackwing Lair.
AQ40. You may have been conditioned a little bit early, but when Bastodon left for good, it was at the beginning of AQ40, and Fish was like, "Oh yeah, Grif will take care of it." Because I remember.
But Bastodon was already putting me in charge of it. He's like, "You handle the priest," and I was like, "Shouldn't Melly be doing that?"
That's why I said you were being conditioned. You were being worked to take over his position.
Know. And I was not ready.
I know. That's why I remember your voice when Fish was like, hey, you can go ahead and do the healing assignments now. And you're like, okay. I don't know what to fucking do. I wasn't
even using Discord that much at that point. Like, I was using Discord, but I was putting everything in raid chat because I was not confident in anything that I was doing. And so it was one of those things where it's like, you there, be in charge of this. I was like, I'm going to type, and then maybe they won't notice if I make a mistake, because they would have had to have read it instead of heard it out loud. And then as it turns out, like, over the years, Unicorn, by the time we became Unicorn later on, I was like, we don't really need healing assignments. Because we're just all we're all fighting for keeping the team alive, so I just do what we do. And we got called out on that close to the end, and I almost wanted to fight somebody, but whatever. You know, as much as, like, it really is like a family, because there were times where we'd be like, you said some dumb shit. No, you said some dumb shit. And everybody got loud, and it's like, oh God, we're all mad right now. We'd walk away, come back next week, and everybody's like, hey guys, how's everything? Hugs and kisses. Let's do this. It's so weird. So great though. So great.
Yeah. But it's weird because for the last several years, every Thursday night, I put up the signups. And then every Monday, I ping the people who didn't sign up. And then every Tuesday, I post the roster.
Mm-hmm.
That's not happening anymore.
Yeah.
Like it almost feels like a little bit of this hollowness, and every so often, like I told them last night, I get it just clicks into my head because again, I've been conditioned for years at this point to go always thinking about next week's raid. Always thinking about next week's raid. What do we have to accomplish at next week's raid?
Who's going to call out? What do I need to bring? What gems do I need to get out of the bank? Do I have enough fish feasts in my bag?
Like there is none.
Yeah.
Like there is no next week.
And it is sad. Like part of me is like, oh, finally, I don't have to like commit every week. But then the other part of me is like, but I'm going to miss my, 23 friends, hanging out and doing stuff together every week because that's what we do. And so I think this week I may see if they want to play like Just Act Natural or something, just to see who wants to still be around. I know a lot of people are burnt out and they're just like, I'm just going to hang out with my family, and because we're all grown-ups now, so.
Yeah. Well, Amal's birthday is on the 8th, so.
That's true.
On our Thursday.
Yeah, mine was last week, hers is this week, so get all of them.
Snitty's is Wednesday, then Red's is next Friday, and then there's 2 more after that. Like you got a birthday like multiple times. There are so many Mother's Day babies. It is unbelievable, you guys.
Yeah. Gross. But
it is sad, and it is in the end of the era. But I will say this, because my nights are free. I can actually start streaming during the evenings every so often now because I'm not so wrapped up. Ugh, no, my computer has a little bit of trouble running PalWorld and streaming.
Oh, we can stream Ghost Game.
We can.
Yay!
We can stream all sorts of stuff now. I can stream all sorts of stuff now. Like I stopped streaming when I was trying to stream WoW at the same time because I couldn't get the Discord and the game to change.
I'm really glad that you couldn't, to be honest. Like, I'm glad there's not logs, audio-visual proof of me yelling at people and stuff.
Well, again, like I said, I would have made it so that you couldn't hear Discord during streams. You'd only be able to hear me. But, yeah, like, it's the end of an era. It is. It actually hurts. Because we've done this for so long, so it's.
I cried on Wednesday when we were done, I off and on through the night, really. But yes, when we were actually done, I was actually really sad. I cried because it is family. So
it is family. It was sad.
Yes.
But it's life. Things come to an end, and I am very proud and happy to have chosen our end. Yeah. Instead of it just riding till the wheels fell off. I'm glad that we got to choose where it ended.
And man, them wheels wanted to fall off a few times over the years. We held that raid together with like duct tape at certain points. Duct tape and hopes. And floated along.
My panic last year, like
hey,
between April and June was rough. Ugh. Oh God!
We made it though.
It was rough. Yeah,
we made it.
Barely, but we made it.
Yep.
We made it all the way through. We got it. We didn't do the hard modes. We just did the regular versions, which I'm happy with. That's what I wanted.
Yeah,
if you knew
Unicorn, you would understand why some of those were just never going to happen on hard mode. That would have been the end of us if we had said we're going to do hard modes. Get over it. Bring your stuff. Half the raid team was just not going to make it. So I'm glad that we chose. We chose not to fight. We chose the peaceful way. But it was good. It was really good.
It was good.
I love all my unicorns. Every single one of them. And
that's the end of that.
Yeah. But now we started our cope game, which is PalWorld. And
my rebound game.
Yeah. I'm calling it my coping game.
Pokemon with guns.
Yes. To be fair, Pokemon with guns, I don't really have any that have guns yet. I got a rocket launcher for Pingullet, but I haven't used one. So
my monkey has a gun.
Yeah, you need to have a whole box in your PAL box full of Pengullets so that they're ammo when you shoot one and knocks it out. So you've got to go take it to the PAL box and let it rest.
I wasn't sure how that worked yet. I was like, Do they have rocket launchers, or do I have a rocket launcher that shoots them?
You have a rocket launcher that shoots them.
Now I know.
I do recommend getting one of the little toucan things because you could shoot eggs out of its butt, and
I do.
It's
have
like
that.
a grenade. It's a grenade launcher.
I have not tried it. I also haven't. What my calamari, which is a little like squid-looking thing that you can use as a glider. Its ability says fried calamari, and I don't know what that does, but it sounds like it's going to not be available in combat after I use that. So I haven't used it yet. Do you know what it does?
If you hover over it, it'll tell you what it does.
I always forget. I only ever see it when I have it out, because I know I'm going to be, in a place with a lot of elevation and I want to have my good glider. And so I'll toss it out and I'm like, oh, I should really see what that thing does. And then I forget about it again because I've got another pet like Cognito that I'm using instead. So I do know what their abilities do. But
fried squid. Yeah, it's just can someone be instead of used of a glider. That's all it does.
What does it do?
It just lets you use it as a glider.
But it's already a glider.
Are you talking? Okay, are you cooking it, or is it the ability?
The ability. It's
It's called partner. It's called fried squid. While in the team, can be summoned and used instead of a glider. That's all it is.
Okay. Well then, I just see it on the prompt on the screen sometimes, and I'm like, I wonder what that does. I'm not gonna push it. So.
Yeah. So. But yeah, that's all that one does. I'm sure you get food, or when you kill them, you get calamari food or calamari food, and you can eat it.
No, I don't want to. I need them. I need the glider, which looks objectively terrifying if you look up while you're using it, because underneath is just like its mouth, its gaping maw, and it's got so many teeth, and it's like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna not look at that part. Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, it's called a calamari. So
it is.
I'll be honest, I knew I was going to enjoy this game, but oh my god, the amount has taken over for me. And I am so happy that we have learned to run servers off of the laptop over here, because it is so convenient to be able to throw up the server and then play, and my computer's still usable, because while we were doing Conan and I was hosting the server, my computer would struggle like a mofo to where I would barely be able to do anything. But now, like, even after we moved Conan over there,
much better.
And for the record, we finished Conan to the extent that we could. We killed all the bosses, and we got all of the crystals, and we have the fragment that allows us to delete our character. So we finished.
I'm just not going to delete my character, though. So.
We actually finished Conan through the entire thing.
Yes.
So killed all the bosses, got all the stuff, and we have completed it in its sense.
Yeah.
So, and we got the bartender too.
Yes, the tavern keep.
I will say that when we started playing this, I was kind of expecting a little bit like PalWorld mechanics in this, and I've gotten a lot of comparisons where people wanted the thralls to be able to do what the pals do in it and actually move around and harvest stuff and do your plants and things like that. Like, that's kind of what I was hoping for.
Instead of them being so stationary in Conan?
Yeah. Like, I think some of the golems can do harvesting for you. If you send them out, they can go out and, like, harvest and stuff, things like that, kind of like Ark did, where you can send the pals out or the animals out and they'll go.
Yeah, there was a harvesting arm. I gave it to the very first one that we were testing with, and that was the first one that died.
Of course it is, because it was just harvesting instead of murdering.
It murdered a lot, though.
Yeah, but yeah, I am super into PalWorld. I have enjoyed exploring the map and redesigning my base and creating all of these different structures and kind of managing the pals. I love managing the pals and trying to make sure there's a balance of work in your base, because you got, I think it's 16 different job styles, and trying to have a balance so that you can have them. And I can see why it's important to have 3 separate bases, because you're not going to be able to do all the jobs in one base.
Yeah, I mean, oh my god, just trying to get them to do, like, I need this and this and this. Okay, but that means that I can't have this. So, or it means that instead of having 2 people water all of my fields, I now can only have 1, and that guy's gonna take 16 forevers to do so.
Yeah, so I got 2 waterers. I try to make sure that they're balanced. Like my Relaxosaurus, which I absolutely love. He is awesome. He's like, I think it's a level 2 water and a level 3 transport. So he'll go around and like any of the water jobs he'll start doing. He'll start doing, and then if he's done or doesn't have any of those, he'll start picking up stuff to move. Like he'll pick up the plants or pick it and just kind of put it in boxes and things like that, which is nice to have.
I like getting all the shinies of them too, so that you've got like I've got a shiny chicken and a shiny lamb ball, so I have 2 shiny little dum-dums. Chickpea wandering around in the same like ranch corrals, so they keep bumping into each other. And I don't know why, I'm just an idiot, and it's funny to me to see that, to come back to base and be like, there's my comic relief. Okay, cool. And my big whatever the fish thing is that flops around and goes to water stuff.
The Dumud.
He's also a little idiot, and watching him be an idiot is fun too.
At first I was like, oh, that's so cool. It's a water, like a fish on land, but it's actually a rock Pokemon.
It is. That's weird.
It's a rock pal. So I was like, oh, that's kind of neat.
There's
still tons of stuff we haven't seen.
I just got the breeding pen thing, and I realized at first I was like, oh, I need to get, male and female, I think the first one I put in was a Sealerays, and then I was like, does it have to be the same Pokemon? Or, sorry, pal? It does not. And that gets real weird sometimes.
I think you do the same pal when you're trying to breed specific traits.
That makes sense. But now I'm just like, I just want to mix and match and see what comes out. So I put a grass one and a water one in there, and they made an electric egg, and I do not know how that happens. But I'm just Frankensteining them at this point, which, I mean, I get it. People are like, see, this is why the game is bad, because look what you're doing. You're forcing them in. It's pixels, people. It's pixels, and they make eggs. They're not actually doing anything. Calm down.
I mean, you really want to throw complaints? Look, humans are just as bad. Like, we do that with live animals. The horrible people do. Like, these are just pixels, and it's kind of, to me, it's just like the nature of nature. Humans figure out how to work animals.
But I'm not looking at it in a realistic way. It's like, all right, look, I threw a giant panda bear and a dumb fish in there together to see what color egg came out. That's it. Like, I'm not being weird about it. Don't be weird about it.
It took me a while to design my egg hatchery place. Like, and it works well now. Like, I got it working just right. But it took me a little while to get that. I'm going to show it off later.
Okay, you do that. Well, yes, to us,
it's cool.
If you want to see Chicken's, base building acumen, you gotta hit him up on Discord and ask. Else you gotta already be in our little group.
Like, I love that kind of stuff where I have to design things that I can make it work as well as possible. And that one was complicated to fix just right to make it work like I wanted to. I've got a cold spot and a hot spot and a normal spot. So any of the warm eggs, I've got a place for them so that they're always cooking at the right temperature, and then a cold one where they're always cooking at the right temperature. So I put it in, then I make sure that they're comfortable, and then if they're good, then I'll leave them going, and if not, I'll move them normal spot, or I'll move them to the hot. So kind of play with them, because, I mean, burning some seconds off doesn't really matter. So, but yeah, I like that. Managing the pals, making sure everything. I did a little bit like that in Arc 2, where it was go to a workshop board or something and then click craft. But in Conan, you just click craft and then walk away, and it just does it until it's done. But in this one, you have to like wait for a pal to come do it. Like, I'll just queue up a bunch of pal spheres and then leave and then come back later and pick them up. Yeah, like, I like that. I like being able to go click and then actually having my pals do it for me. And people have said they don't have personality or things like that. But man, I'm telling you, they do. My dark pals are bosses. First of all, they work through the nights.
Yeah, they do.
They kind of are low key and they work through the nights, which are fine. But whenever they get overworked, they will go and chill in the spas together. Yeah. They're like, okay, it's late night. We've been working all day. We're going to chill in the spa. So you just see them kind of laid up in the spas, and it's so cute.
Watching the big Vanworm bird go get in the spa and just, like, chill. It's like, yeah, he deserves that break because he works all the time.
Exactly. And if you have them if you have them working a specific job by themselves and that's all they do, their sanity does start dropping to where it can't be replenished very well, which is why it's good to have other ones that can take that job over for them while they relax, because if not, they'll go and get their sanity fixed just a little bit and then go back to work.
I finally got to make the fluffy pet beds, which is supposed to also help their sanity while they're sleeping, but with the dark pals, they don't sleep at night, so that's not gonna help them, I guess.
You want the better hot springs.
Is there a better hot spring?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I haven't seen it yet. Cool. I didn't know. I must have scrolled past it when I was looking at all of the stuff you could unlock.
There's better hot springs.
I just got the stone stuff, so.
Yeah, that's all I've got right now. Having the stone, I had to rebuild my base in the stone because wood burns down. But yeah, like taking care of your pals and actually trying to manage them is nice. I like it because it's this weird micromanagement that I wasn't really expecting, but I really enjoy it because I like having the pals active around the base, and whenever I build something or I'm trying to craft, they all come like full running because handiwork is usually one of the ones that I need them to have. So I've got like 6.
And then they all are like, you want to build this thing? Let us help you.
They just come sprinting from whatever they're doing to help me build a chair, and it's like, come on, guys. I got this.
When I was redoing my base, they were being so helpful that I was like, let me put them all away because you're being too helpful and you're standing in the way of the thing I'm trying to put next to this. I need you all to chill out.
So you have a commander's like platform where you can step on it and tell them how hard you want them to work. It's like humane, hard, and then like it's really bad. Like you force them to work. I don't want to do that. I think they're doing just fine. It drops their sanity and their food really fast, but it makes them move a lot faster and produce a lot faster.
You're cracking the whip, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much. But like one of the suggestions that people want is that can have that, but it also needs to pull up the screen with your pals at your base and then all the jobs that they can do, and then it needs to allow you to tell them what jobs you want them to do. Because one of mine is like an ice one and it can move stuff, and it's like I just want you to be the ice one. I don't want you to transport stuff. So I wish there was a way for me to turn off their transporting ability so that they would just focus on chilling.
Yeah.
So like being able to do that for each one of them would be convenient, because it's almost a little bit like RimWorld for people who have played that, to where you can pick and choose what kind of jobs you want your people to focus on. Like, I want chilling to be your first priority. I want transporting to be your second priority, or I want transporting to not even be on your list. Like,
yeah.
So this is still early access. We're what, 2-3 weeks into this game?
Yeah,
and it's just blowing
we got
up.
Plenty of time for them to take in some suggestions.
Oh yeah, huge stuff. And they're doing what Ark refused to goddamn do, and I'm going to complain about this for the end of time. They're focusing on fixing the bugs and stabilizing their game.
They're not like Wildcard. I think it's Wildcard that did Ark. Was like, okay, here's our early access stuff. What are you guys working on? You gonna fix this stuff? No, we're not fixing any of that. We're gonna work on this DLC so that you will give us more money, and we're gonna forget that stuff exists.
Adding a new dino every week. Adding a new dino every week. They're focusing on game-breaking bugs.
Yeah,
like they are stabilizing
put out a roadmap
first
and everything, and I like that. I like it when devs are like, "Here's what we know is wrong and plan to fix."
Like, kudos, good job. That's how you do it. You fix, you stabilize your game, then you can start adding some of the little bit of quality of life stuff to kind of make everything a little bit nicer, and then you can really start adding to that depth to your game. Like, that is where you can
falling through the world and being stuck in the water.
Yeah, I've only fallen in once or twice.
I've fallen in 3 or 4 times.
That's like your thing. You have like this bug sense in any game that we play. You fall through the world more than anybody else in our group.
Hey, when we DC,
I always find that bug.
You do.
Yes, you do. When I DC'd, I fell through the world, and when I logged back in, I was underneath the ground on a rock. And I was like, "Oh, how the hell do I get out of here?" So I went to run. Nope, I ran into a wall, and I was stuck under the ground. And I was like, "Uh-oh, how do I get out?" luckily, that was like, oh, there's another rock over here. It was invisible, by the way. So luckily, it like pushed me up towards the ground, and I couldn't walk through it. I was stuck. So I started rolling, and I was just like spam rolling, and I clipped through and almost launched myself off a cliff. I was like, oh dear God.
At least you would have been out.
I got out of the ground, thankfully, but I almost killed myself in the process. But yeah, so there's still some problems with it, which that one was a server DC. I think because so many people are exploring everywhere all at one time, so it's trying to load. And I think I figured out the problem for the area that you found no pals in, Grif.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the spawn rate, it doesn't spawn like as you get there. If you are in the area, it'll start spawning them slowly. But if you're just kind of zooming through, it just kind of spawns them gently, because I've seen people like ramp up the spawn rate, and every time they go to a zone, it's just like
full
pals, and it just like starts raining them constantly. So I might up it a little bit just to kind of get them to spawning a little faster, but I don't want to put it too high to burn up the server. So
yeah, I just thought it was weird when I was exploring. You know, you'll be on the outer fringes sometimes, and you'll be like, there's like at one point I was exploring and I walked for 10 like real minutes through areas with no pals, not a single one.
I've done that, and I walk through and there's nothing, and I come back and there's something. It's like, okay, so the spawn rate's a little low. The area
that I was at, I walked through, and when I got to like basically when it transitioned zones, it was still a zone I had not been to and nobody was in. But when I transitioned zones, it put a bunch of stuff in. But the stuff that it put in was way higher level than I was, so I just immediately ran to the closest fast travel that I could find and left.
Yeah, so I think it's
so I didn't get a
chance
to turn around and go back.
Yeah, so as we're kind of working through, it has trouble like spawning all as we're there. But you know, as it's explored, it starts populating it as it's kind of been seen. So if it's not explored or if it hasn't been loaded, it's not gonna spawn pals there. It has to be loaded, and then there has to be a timer that starts for it to load pals into that zone.
Well, we'll find out, because that level I was in was definitely like 30s and forward, so we're not quite to the point where I'm comfortable like going back to it yet and checking it out. But when we get to that point, I'll go see if that's the case.
Oh, and I can always change. Like we're early 20s, and since I've lowered the XP rate, yes, Baka, I have lowered the XP rate on our server so that we don't blow through it. It's kind of getting a little slower. It's going to get slower and slower as we get higher and higher level. But I do a lot of passive XP.
Exploring, so I'm fine with that.
I've done a lot of passive XP where I just sit at my base and I just gain +1, +1, +1, +1, +1 for all the things that my pals are doing around the base. So I didn't want to be able to just sit there and like boost my level real quick. I want us to take our time through here and kind of play through the game. So next objective is to help Red. He kind of had some trouble with his computer, so he fell a little bit behind.
Yeah.
But we're going to help him out tonight and kind of help open up the world to him. The difference that it makes when you start exploring is just
and you can
wild.
Actually start like getting out
fast
there
traveling
and
around
stuff.
and yeah, it's crazy how much of a difference it is.
It'll especially help him because I think he's level 10, so he's right at that point where everything that's around him, because he's right down from my base, everything that's around us is level 6 mostly. And he's gonna want some different stuff that's maybe a little higher leveled and things like that. So yes,
we'll take him to Chillat. We'll take him to Cat's base. We'll take him to Baka's base. We'll take him all over the place.
Take him up there to that Grentel too. That's right above mine.
Yeah.
So which Grentel's so cute. It's like a Cheshire cat, and at night his eyes glow like little headlights.
Yes,
he belly flops at people.
He is adorable. A lot of these pals are so adorable too. Some of them with their descriptions is pretty horrifying.
Yeah, some of it if you start reading, like I've got one that I really like. It's the Infernoram. He does a lot of cool abilities, and I like him a lot, but he's a kidnapper, so don't look at that.
I got one of them at my base too. He's super good. Yeah. Lots of gathering tree, building, handiwork, fire. Like
there's a lot of the game that is very dark. So it's one of those. It's not. It looks like it's for kids, but it's kind of not if you actually read this stuff. So
yeah,
I mean, Pokemon has Pokemon that kidnap children.
Oh yeah, one of the little balloon ones actually, it floats around, and when a child grabs it, it steals the child.
Oh my god, that's awful.
Yeah, it's horrifying. Some of the Pokemon are horrifying.
Some of the Pokédex entries for Pokemon, it gets fucking dark as well.
And if Nintendo and Game Freak weren't so possessive of their IP, can you imagine how like the cool horror movies that could come from things like that?
Ooh.
Anyway,
could you imagine what kind of Nintendo game or what kind of Pokemon game we could get if they would look at other games like PalWorld and design around that? Because Pokemon Legends Arceus was really, really good.
I'm sure they've got people watching this and seeing how its reception is going, how it continues to be received, how successful it is, and taking some notes, because
I would agree,
you'd be an idiot not to.
But that's the problem. I think this is the right word. I think the hubris of Nintendo and Game Freak is just at a level to where they just don't think that this is anything worth looking at. Like, their way is the right way because it's already made so much money.
Yeah, I could kind of see and agree with that, but I definitely think if the company themselves, like, as a group is not like, we need to look at this, there are people within their ranks that are looking at it on their own and planning to, be like, hey, maybe this is a good thing. We should probably consider an offshoot game that is similar to this, and find out. I like it a lot, but now you get into the territory of, because PalWorld was so successful right out of the gate, like super huge, unexpected indie hit out of the park right out of the gate. If Nintendo did try to do something like that, do they now have the money and power to stand on and be like, now we're gonna sue you because that was how we did that? Like,
they're gonna have to be very careful about how to do that, because the PalWorld base design is pretty good, and you can't copy that one for one. You got to try a different route. You could do it with like a town style, where because they've done towns in their games. I mean, even Legends Arceus had that town where you could have your Pokemon out. You could do something similar to that and kind of integrate PalWorld's design philosophy, and they've got some room, but they got to be careful. They have to be careful now. They don't have full freedom to design however you want, because somebody else did it before you.
What an interesting juxtaposition,
Yes, so it's neat. I'm excited to see. Yeah, it's cool. I like it.
Well, is there anything else? I mean, PalWorld came out, so my Cyberpunk got put on hold, which is unfortunate. I think I'm going to try to play it tomorrow, but knowing that the server is up is like, oh, but I could be boosting my egg timers by being there. So we'll see. But
that's it. That's it for me.
Okay.
I think we hit everything. An hour and a half show, which is the longest we've had in a long time.
Yeah. Sorry, we got carried away a little bit. Usually I'm the one that police... What?
What was that?
I'm ready to go play more PalWorld. I gotta get my base in order.
Okay.
Oh, you want me to turn on the server right here, right?
And that's what
Okay, boss. Do I need to turn it on right after we're done, Baka?
Yeah, yes.
I mean, yes, because I'm gonna put mine back up because I have an egg that has like an hour left on it, and I wanted it to go ahead and complete before we started.
All right. Come on.
Look, okay, I don't have a problem. You have a problem.
I definitely have a problem, and I'm not gonna deny it.
I have to go make food first, though.
Well, I mean, that's fine. You can sign in and let your eggs be going, because that's what I'm about to do.
My eggs are done. I let them finish. So
because you're moving your... Yeah. Well, still put it up, chicken, because I've got chores to do after this, but my eggs are not done.
Damn it. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to sit at the top of my house like I usually do.
All right, well, time for one of my stellar outros, because I'm super good at it.
Oak lands the plane nice and peacefully, and Grif just crashes it straight down.
Some people have things that are like very well put together and streamlined, and then we have the unicorn way, which is my way. So,
boom.
That's what it is now, you guys. It's the unicorn way. Thanks for everybody who hangs out all of the time. That's my Oak impression. And from here on out, it'll be nothing like his. Go to his YouTube channel. He doesn't do YouTube. He does Twitch and Kick. I think it's Kick. Should have asked. Forgot. Twitch.tv/MDB Oaktree. I don't know what his schedule is. I think he said last time that he's mostly doing Sundays right now, which he will not this week. He should be back next week. He said, I think he'll be back next week. I'm not sure about that. I don't know when his plane lands. He'll be back soon. Just go to his channel. That's it. That's all I know about it. Or his Discord or our Discord. Go to the chicken Discord. We're all in the chicken Discord. And that's where you can hang out with us, and that's fun. Chicken will be streaming some probably this week.
Yeah, probably this week.
Twitch.tv/EliteChicken313. He always sends out a ping from the chicken Discord, so you will generally know if he's live or not. But I think that your work week is kind of light this week, so.
Yeah, I think we'll be streaming this week. I got to find something else to play. Last game I played was Ghostwire Tokyo. That was an incredible game. Recommend.
Hey, I accidentally recommended that to you because I recommended a different game that wasn't available, and then you found that one instead, which is also one that I wanted to play. So maybe I'll find something else for you later. I'll go look. And I think that's it. Is that everything? Did I cover all of the important things? That's both of your Twitch channels. And I don't do YouTube stuff anymore as far as my channel goes. So that's yeah. I think we're good. All right. Well, cool. Yep. We're gonna go do chores and then play PalWorld. We don't have a problem. You have a problem. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
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 Please hang up and try again.